Okay, picture this. You're heading home for the holidays. The airports are absolutely packed. You know that festive buzz in the air. And then suddenly, your flight gets canceled. And then another one. And another. All across the globe, the world's most popular jet is being pulled from the sky. We're talking a massive, totally unexpected travel crisis. So what on earth could ground thousands of planes all at once? Well, the answer isn't on Earth at all. Yeah, that's the number. Over 11,000 Airbus A320 family aircraft. These planes are the backbone of global travel. You've almost certainly flown on one. An emergency directive hit pretty much all of them. This wasn't some mechanical problem you could see with your eyes or a storm you could track on a radar. Nope, this was something way, way bigger. And this chaos wasn't just some abstract headline. It was real. It was thousands of people stuck. This one Reddit user, Simulant, just kind of summed it all up perfectly. Just got affected by this in Australia. No ETA for services to return to normal. It's going to be a long day. You can just feel the frustration in that, right? That feeling was happening in airports from Sydney to San Francisco. So how did this all happen? Let's get right into it and break down the absolute mess that was this holiday travel chaos. First thing to know, this wasn't airlines just randomly canceling flights. This was a direct top-down order. Airbus itself, along with the big aviation authorities, put out an emergency directive. When they use the word emergency, they mean it. This was a mandatory, non-negotiable safety action. And this really shows you how serious the whole thing was. This wasn't just one country getting spooked. We're talking the FAA in the US, EASA over in Europe, and basically every other major regulator around the world, all issuing the same order at the same time. When these guys act together like that, you know they found something really, really scary. But what triggered it? I mean, what single event could possibly force them to ground an entire global fleet? It all started with one terrifying incident. A nosedive so sudden and so violent that it kicked off an investigation that uncovered a vulnerability nobody saw coming. Here are the hard facts. October 30th, 2025. JetBlue Flight 1230 is cruising from Cancun to Newark. Everything's normal. Then, out of nowhere, the plane just pitches down. A sudden, uncommanded drop. The pilots, absolute heroes, wrestled with the controls and managed to get the plane down for an emergency landing in Tampa. But not before at least 15 passengers were injured. This right here, this was the first domino to fall. So, naturally, the investigation kicks into high gear. And this is where the story gets really wild. Everyone assumed they'd find a broken part, maybe a software bug written by an engineer, but the real culprit was invisible. And it was 93 million miles away. Yeah, you heard that right. The investigation pointed to one source, and it's a shocker. The sun. A blast of energy, a solar flare, was the reason a 70-ton passenger jet almost fell out of the sky. How is that even possible? These maps really paint the picture. On the left, that's what radiation levels normally look like up at 35,000 feet. But look at the map on the right. That's during a solar event. The radiation just goes off the charts. We forget that when these planes are at cruising altitude, they're flying through a much harsher environment than we're used to down here on the ground. Which brings us to the billion-dollar question. How can a burst of energy from the sun physically mess with a massive, highly advanced piece of machinery like an Airbus A320? It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but the answer is very real, and it's buried deep inside the plane's electronic brain. To really get this, we have to go hunting for a ghost in the code. This is where things get a little technical, but stick with me because it's fascinating. This is the nuts and bolts of how it all went wrong. The phenomenon at the heart of all this has a name: a single event upset, or an SEU. The best way to think about it is like a cosmic hiccup. One single high-energy particle from space zips down and smacks into a microchip. And in that instant, it can flip a tiny switch inside a single bit of data. A 0 becomes a 1, or a 1 becomes a 0. It's known as a bit flip, a tiny, tiny change with potentially catastrophic consequences. This breaks down the whole chain reaction perfectly. It starts with the solar flare, which blasts out these high-energy particles. They slam into our atmosphere and create a shower of other particles called secondary neutrons. Now, just one of these neutrons can hit the aircraft's flight computer, flip a single bit of code, and suddenly that corrupted data tells the plane to do something dangerous that the pilots never commanded. Now, you might be thinking, hold on, planes have had electronics for decades. Why is this a bigger deal now? Well, this little comparison tells the whole story. Back in the 70s, transistors were huge, measured in micrometers. They were tough. Today, they're 1,000 times smaller, measured in nanometers. That's fantastic for making our gadgets fast and efficient. But here's the crazy irony. Because they're so small, it takes way less energy to flip their state. So our incredible march of progress has actually made our electronics more vulnerable to these random shots from the cosmos. And, as investigators started digging, they quickly realized this wasn't some freak one in a billion accident. In fact, when it comes to aviation, history has a scary way of repeating itself. Just look at this pattern here. Back in 2008, a Qantas flight nosedived twice, also linked to a random data spike. Then, during the 737 MAX recertification process, tests showed that simulated cosmic rays could actually make the plane uncontrollable. And now, in 2025, it looks like a simple Airbus software update accidentally removed some key protections, which left this old vulnerability wide open again. At the end of the day, it all comes down to building systems that can handle these glitches, because you have to assume they're going to happen. A former Boeing engineer said it best when talking about a similar problem with the 737 MAX. A single point of failure is an absolute no-no. It's just a massive oversight. Your entire safety system can't rely on just one thing working perfectly all the time. And this chart shows how different airplane makers try to solve this. Boeing's 777, for example, uses a triplex system. It's got 3 computers all doing the same math, and they vote. The majority wins. The A320 uses a dual system where 2 computers check each other's work. The problem with the original 737 MAX was that only 1 computer was active at a time with no real-time backup. This whole A320 mess shows that even good systems can have hidden trapdoors, especially after something as routine as a software update. And that brings us to the final and, honestly, the most important point here. Because this story is so much bigger than just one type of airplane. It's really a story about our fragile digital world. First, there's the money. The financial fallout here is just staggering. We're talking huge maintenance costs to update thousands of planes, massive R&D pressure on companies to make their electronics tougher, and, of course, billions in lost revenue for airlines. The price tag for a single bit flip is enormous. But here's the real takeaway, the big idea you need to walk away with. This vulnerability, it's not just an airplane problem. The exact same physics that sent that JetBlue plane into a dive is at play in the technology you are using right now, every single day. That's right, the risk of a random bit flip from a cosmic ray exists in self-driving cars, in the massive data centers that run the entire global financial market, in life-saving medical equipment, in our communication networks. It's even a risk for the phone in your pocket. We have built our entire modern society on a foundation of microscopic little switches that are constantly getting bombarded by particles from deep space. Which really just leaves us with one final, kind of chilling thought. Our entire world runs on ones and zeros. Our money, our travel, how we talk to each other, it's all just digital code. So what happens when the universe, in one silent, random, and completely invisible moment, decides to flip just one of those bits?
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It really helps the channel grow. See you in the next video.